This video will be representing Theme 3 of DRIPA, that is ending Indigenous-specific racism and discrimination. The Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People Act was unanimously passed by the British Columbia Legislative Assembly in November 2019. This made BC the first jurisdiction in Canada to adopt the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, UNDRIP. The Declaration Act was developed jointly with Indigenous leaders and legal staff and was introduced through historic ceremony. Now, what actually Theme 3 mainly focus on? It was implemented by Government of British Columbia after taking DRIPA by UNO into consideration, that aims to end the racism against Indigenous community people, so that they can enjoy their freedom, respect, land, and resources. And basically, this video will focus on how racism is being ended by many folks who are trying their best to bring happiness in Indigenous people lives. It is undeniable fact that everyone contributed in different field to make their life better. For example, some contributes in medical facilities, while some in education facilities, and some in their art and culture to promote it. Moreover, DRIPA has been implemented in British Columbia by the government, which shows that support is also coming from assemblies as well for community. These all will be explained briefly in this video with relevant information. It is very crucial to deeply understand about what the video is explaining. So, ending Indigenous-specific racism is important to study to overview the life situation of Indigenous people from history to till now. Furthermore, it is also becoming important to overgo through it, so that Indigenous people can also enjoy their life and get whatever that belongs to them. Some of its main objective are: free to express, which means to give basic life to Indigenous people through which they can express their feelings and experiences. Second one is practicing their rights, as we all know that they do have right, but are not able to practice them physically. That is why, it is also a major goal through which Indigenous people can enjoy their rights. Also, the discrimination is stopped at larger level. However, there are also some spots which are not improved yet, so, to curb down this is also a major consideration of the mentioned objectives. We are using a community center as an example, as well as some real-life examples of individuals who are trying to reduce injustice and represent their community on a bigger scale. Here comes the main part of the video, which explains some of the initiatives taken by individuals to support the Indigenous community. There are some of the community centers also which are doing same. Jean Cuthand Goodwill, she was the first nurse from the Indigenous community that is registered under the government policies. If talks about her personal life, she became nurse because she uses to go in hospitals whenever she was a child, and then she started to took interest in nursing work, which influenced her to be a nurse. Besides it, she also has a good interest in helping people that took her towards the career of nurse. How does Goodwill helps to represent the Indigenous community? She was the first lady that helps to form the Indigenous Nurse Association of Canada and then works as a proud president there. She was always curious to help people and to influence her community members to represent theirself just like her, which can make their whole community feel proud. Furthermore, the other thing that makes her community feel proud was that she was the first Indigenous lady to work with National Health and Welfare in the federal government, and also with the Department of Indian Affairs and Northern Development. Next is Angela Sidney. She was a Tagish lady. Her main motive was to keep the history of Indigenous people alive. She spent larger portion of her life to preserve the Tagish language and culture. We can determine her dedication that she became the first woman from the Yukon who got awarded with the Order of Canada in 1986. Adding on, Sidney was a teacher who taught dance language to Indigenous children so that children can stay connected to their culture and language. Moreover, she also worked with many of the anthropologists with the aim to preserve the Tagish language for upcoming generation. Besides this, she also published some book that efforts towards protection of their culture. Now, a common question arises in everybody's mind is that what was the main objectives of both Indigenous women? Both were proud Indigenous ladies and wants to make whole community proud. Both aims to represent their community uniquely. Both were trying to preserve their community history and culture. The Squamish-Lil'wat Cultural Center, SLCC. It is an Indigenous community center located in Squamish, British Columbia which honors the Squamish and Lil'wat nations' overlapping land and culture, a partnership established in 2001 in a historic protocol agreement. It re-established the peaceful coexistence that occurred when the two nations shared a community named SPO 7EZ near Function Junction in Whistler. The center has exhibitions, a gift shop, and a Thunderbird Cafe, in addition to a variety of tours, concerts, craft activities, and events, workshops. The community center has a different style of presenting things to people as the center has things for community members separately and for visitors separately, which attracts more people and represent Indigenous community culture at a different level. For community member especially, the center hoping that when individuals from our local communities visit, they feel a genuine connection to the SLCC and see it as their cultural center. People frequently look at images of their relatives to see whether they have a personal connection. Moreover, the center organizes functions such as traditional songs, dance, and feasts that helps Indigenous community people to revive their culture. Now, for outsiders. For visitors from outside the two nations, the SLCC serves as a medium for addressing knowledge gaps and eliminating preconceptions of Indigenous peoples, many of which stem from the history of residential schools. It's a chance for non-Indigenous people to meet some Indigenous people, talk to us, and create relationships that weren't as simple to have in the past. A signature tour is one of the best methods to learn about the Squamish and Lil'wat nations. The primary tour, What We Treasure, is given by cultural ambassadors who explain about the history and cultural significance of various objects and art pieces in the SLCC's permanent display. How can be it said that the efforts of community center are worthy or working? There is an exhibit, lasting roughly from September 30 to January 2022, that educates visitors about ancient Indigenous medicine, with a focus on the Indigenous medicine wheel, which heals the body holistically by taking spirituality and emotions into consideration. For explaining properly or really connecting, the center makes a temporary display on residential schools will also open on September 30 and continue until October 14 in order to address visitors' inquiries. Although, involves teaching visitors about history but also gives joy to cultural people to connect and feel pride. Does it all really help community? Now from conclusion we can easily say that yes, it is because many people are now getting information about the life of Indigenous community people and helping all of them now to live happily. Moreover, people are taking interest nowadays in historic culture of the community. Helping community to share out their experiences in real world. Here are some of the references for the material used. Thanks for watching this video.